Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our live session today. My name is Larissa. I'm an event planner at Reactor, joining you from Brazil. Before we start, I have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. The session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand here on the Reactor YouTube channel within 48 hours. Keep an eye on the chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions so our presenters can answer. I will now turn it over to our speakers for today. Thank you all and welcome, Bruno and Pablo.
Hey, hello everyone, Bruno here, and yes, let's do the formal intros. My name is Bruno Capuano. I'm on the DevRel team in GitHub/Microsoft, and I'm super happy here with my friend Pablo. I am going to tell how this started, but hey, Pablo, introduce yourself so we can start to talk about this.
Absolutely. Hey, folks. Welcome to this amazing Reactor series, this new Reactor series that we are developing. And we are so excited to show you a lot of things with AI. But here's the thing. We observed that tons of things is just the same chatbot, chat, etc., etc., etc. So imagine that you can have a full AI platform, right? You can do this amazing AI platform that you can do and launch anything that you may want as an independent as well. So Bruno, I gotta say, Bruno is the main creator of the project. Did an amazing, great, clear, amazing project for OpenClawNet. So that's what we're gonna see. But who am I, right? I'm Pablo Lopez. I'm the DevRel team with Bruno, and I am like the younger one from the .NET team. So we are so excited to see what can we do, and I'm gonna be more responsible for the chat and a little bit of the talk as well.
Yes, and hey, by the way, thanks everyone. I see people from Malta, Canary Island, Mexico, Ireland, literally Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Brazil, and more. Eastern Gilead. Hey, I love everyone. Tell us where do you join, and let me show you very quickly. By the way, this is all kind of super out of the box informal, and let me tell you the story why. So we have some slides here about session one. What are we going to see? What are we going to do? But at the same time, let me show you here that we are still cooking. You are seeing here that I am generating new slides and more. And let me tell you why. This is the full story. How do we get here? So I am not going to talk a lot about OpenClaw. I will assume that people maybe know it. If you are here, you are probably familiar with the name. Let us know in the chat where are you, if you know when you're using OpenClaw. But when I see this the first time a couple of months ago and everything's happened, I really like this. I really like that as an application, as an AI application. We've been talking about AI, generative AI, and how we can embed AI in applications and have very, very cool. It's kind of a nice example of, hey, this is how you should build an application that uses AI, because you have, of course, access to large language models that you can run on the cloud or locally. You have memory. You are going to implement persistent memory. You have integration with channels. Then you have other stuff which are a little more complicated, like, hey, do you want to run it on your machine? Yes, we are going to run this in our machine, but we have a super cool feature right now in Azure in the agent service, which is called hosted agents, that we are going to publish this as an agent at the end, but that's for a couple of sessions later. But I pick up all of these browser control. So I pick up all of these ideas, and I think this was a couple of months ago. I said, hey, I can do a full .NET version of this. I think we can do it. I think we have all of the materials. It was the time also that Microsoft Agent Framework was almost there. We have extension for AIs. We support skills in Agent Framework. We have amazing ways to do persistent memory. So I built a V1 of OpenClaw in C# for .NET. Remember, OpenClawNet is just the name. The idea today is see how we can do this all in .NET, implement most of these features, most of them, and it kind of works. And for me, it was a console application. And when I was talking, can't remember with whom, and I don't know if Pablo, if you were there, someone said, hey, we can show this, we can evolve this, we can do it better and growing and more and more and more. So we get to a point that, okay, let's use everything that we have, our best practices. So we are going to have services. So we need to orchestrate and work with services. Bring Aspire. We are going to talk about agents. We are going to use different type of agents, local agents, external agents, and more. Okay, bring agent framework, bring Microsoft Attention for AI. I started to put it all together, and we get to this point today. So the idea of today is to show you kind of the starting point. It's not fully built, but it has a lot of features here of OpenClaw, which is, again, it's a full set of the features that we have here today, but in C#. And it's mostly for learning. It's mostly, I mean, you can use it if you want. I've been using this for a couple of things, mostly for testing. But the idea is to basically say, hey, can we do that? And the important part that is was when I start to ask for this, oh my God, I see more people, South Africa, Egypt, Croatia, Hong Kong, Paris. Sorry if I'm missing people. And hey, Pablo, my friend Pablo from Spain. And when I build this, I also have a couple of constraints that you share with me in our Discord server, in conversations, and more about two very important things. One, a lot of people ask, hey, we want to use this with local models. And I say, yes, let's do this. Let's use local models. Let's provide a version that can run some agents locally, maybe other agents in the cloud, or maybe full local, full cloud. Let's support that. It was super important. I started that with Ollama. I started that. If I go here, if you've seen me in the past, you will see that I like to run Ollama locally in Docker. And it's kind of a nice... It was kind of a nice time because last week it was, Pablo, 2 weeks ago?
It was 2 weeks ago, basically. So we had the release of amazing new models, probably you know, the folks on Google, the Gemma, and we have as well a lot of those big amazing AI labs there releasing model after model after model. We are hearing about Kimi K 2.6, but I don't have any thing on that.
I haven't had time to test one, also that one, but I started to work with Gemma, and it was kind of nice. And at the same time, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week, Foundry Local was GA, was public as GA. So the idea is to support Foundry Local. So with all of these things happening, we get to a point to today where, as I said, we are still cooking. As you can see here, as I mentioned, I am working mostly in this machine. This is a virtual machine that doesn't have a GPU. It has 64 gigabytes of memory, and it also have a disk there, this disk, but I want to basically be sure that this can be run locally with Ollama. I have Ollama running here also. If we take a look here in the, let me go to the other terminal. If I take a look here and I do Ollama ls, you will see that I have here, oh, yes, I have here my two models, Llama and Gemma. This is another machine, and this is the idea. Then I have another powerful machine with GPU to do work and do everything local. But this is kind of the context. This is how we get here. So let me go back to our story to start to tell what do you want to do. And later we are also going to share the slides and more. And by the way, this is all I am adding tons of tests with playwrights, unit tests, and more. All test passing, yes, but it's not working. So I also need to improve the test and a couple of things, features here and there. But think about this at the end when we are going to share the code that you can literally start from learning and building from here. So let's go back here and let's do our slides. By the way, the slides are also auto-generated. This is not PowerPoint. This is HTML because I want to really have materials to share with all of you that you can use and learn from this. So today, what we are going to talk? We are going to talk about this, the foundation, what we have, how we are going to do chat here. And I know it's not, you've probably seen this in the past, but it's important if you are new here to see how we can build this, how you can use LLMs in the cloud locally, how you can switch from that, which is the tools that we have currently in .NET to do this, in the .NET ecosystem. Why Aspire? Why we choose some architectures? Maybe someone of you have in another idea. You have, hey, no, you know what? Don't do this, don't do that. I am still thinking a lot about the memory part, and I am super tempted to use Quadrant or any database to manage memory. I don't know. As I said, I'm still learning with all of this, and it's kind of nice to have. At the same time, next sessions, we are going to basically, once we have the chat and everything ready, we are going to go deep and see how we are working with tools today, with workflows, with the skills, memory, and deploy. And at the end, because someone said, hey, we need to integrate this with Telegram, WhatsApp, or whatever. We need to automate the browser interaction. We may add a session 5 with that. But this is kind of the idea. This is where we are today. And sorry about this big slide, but we talk about
it's normal, Bruno. Don't worry.
yes, we talk about this. What is OpenClaw? It was very popular. By the way, is anybody using OpenClaw in the in the? Let us know in the chat. Let us know what are you using it for, because if you share with us kind of use cases or scenarios, that will also help us to test that really help. I found that there are some ways, there are some implementation in the way that OpenClaw do things, and I wanted to do in .NET that need to be tweaked in .NET. We all try to be very careful with stuff like security tools and more, and I don't want to open the doors to everything. I don't want to put that there without a lot of warnings and more, but let us know if you are using OpenClaw today for what, so we can add those use cases, scenarios, and you can share that info with us. That said, this is what we have today. So the core part, the main part, is something that Copilot kindly suggests me to name Gateway. I can't remember my first name, but it was not that good as Gateway. And the idea is that we are going to have a gateway there that is basically a web application using minimal APR. We are not using SignalR anymore. I started with SignalR. And yesterday, I was running. I have a revelation that I am overkilling this. We don't need SignalR. OpenClaw is mostly to use in an environment where it's is running alone, is doing their own stuff. You don't need to have a super cool and amazing chat feature, whatever. So I kill SignalR, and I basically kill a couple of features in the process. But hey, we have test and more. And we also have a scheduler. So the gateway is going to be there managing all that part. So then we have agents. And this is where it starts to be interesting. Right now, our way to go in .NET in agents is Agent Framework. And that's it. I am using Agent Framework. The cool part, I don't know. I was thinking, what else can I say here? No, we're using Agent Framework. Currently supporting Ollama for local models. I have the interfaces and abstraction created for Foundry Local. Haven't tested yet. Supports models in Azure Foundry, Azure OpenAI, and also in Foundry. If you have deployed in Foundry, I don't know, what was the name of the model that you really like? A Kimi model, Paulo?
I do love Kimi. I am a passionate Kimi fan. Kimi 2.5 for me is amazing, but that's my opinion. But we have tons of amazing models, right? It's not like you can limit just to one. And that's the thing I would like to say about even for FinOps, right? If you think about financials, if you have like multiple models to do specific tasks and you can be very specific on that, it's amazing. And that's the best part of the models, right? Of the marketplace of models, that you can choose what best fits your case and what can you do for everything. Of course, here you're going to use a more lighter model, but you can use anything you want, right? That's what makes this so amazing.
Yes, and what I saw this, I think it was last week, and I bring it also here. I saw this idea of where we are not building on top of models, we are building on top of agents. So you may have different agent definition. That's why we also support agents, MD, and more. But the whole idea is that you may have agents that use a specific model. You may have another agent that use a specific model, and you can use those agents for specific tasks. So OpenClaw.net, the idea is that, hey, I want to use, let me show you something. Let's people who knows me know that I am a demo person. So let me go here. We have everything here. So let's do an Aspire run. And let's start this. No, not Aspire run. Let's do this Aspire start. And I am going to show you why Aspire start, I like it. So in the meantime, while it's starting, we have generated the new documentation. So I am going to go raw, committed. Let's do push to GitHub, and let's see if we have our new stuff. So it's starting Aspire in the background while it's pushing also the stuff there. And as I said, this is my GPU only. Where is my task manager? Sorry.
There you go. Look at the CPU. Ooh, it's frying.
Yeah. It's killing, but the idea was to run everywhere. So this is the components that I have, that I mentioned, that we have here. And we have the gateway somewhere here. We have the scheduler that is going to run and is going to manage all of the pooling to see what we have. We have the web interface. We also have a service to run in the shell. That's this one. Only this one it's so interesting to talk about how you can run this. By the way, I also test this in running in Linux. I don't have a Mac, but I'm guessing that it's running WSL also runs there. We have a browser service and we have channels, but only this one deserves an episode because I learned so much on that. The interface is like this, as you can expect. We have sections for Azure, for OpenClawNet. Let me minimize this, where we have chats and you can do stuff. And hey, hi, you have some stuff. You can either chat. You can see here some end-to-end sessions that are created by the testings. You can see the list of sessions, edit, delete, and more. Again, this is all work in progress. I imported out of the box, kind of did a little research, a couple of tools to have access to tools: file system, shell, web fetch, and schedule. And the shell one, as I mentioned, requires some approval, some stuff. This is the dangerous part. Simple file system is also, but not so much. But in the shell, you can do some nice things. Then we have jobs, as expected, when you can run a job. And someone asked me, said something like an example, I can do daily stand summary. And someone said, hey, you know what? Instead of doing the cron, I'm not a cron fan. I never learned the cron syntax. It's super hard for me. ChatGPT and Copilot help me to do my cron scheduling. But someone said, we have access to models here. So you can do smart scheduling and you can do something like, hey, every morning, every Monday at 9 a.m., check this stuff and do here and send me whatever. So it's going to fill your stuff and start this next Monday and ends on, I don't know, July the 1st. It's going to fill everything. And then you have access to see what is happening, how we're working, and more. Of course, I have some checkpoints to do the health checks, and crossing fingers, everything is up and running here. Gateway, Ollama, and database, everything is up and running. I am using SQLite to work with this. I'm guessing that if you go for production, you can use something different. It's up to you. We have also skills here, which is a super important part. And I connected this with my amazing friends. It's not amazing friend. I know that there's a lot of people, but for me, Awesome Copilot is under the scope, under the guidance. The main people behind Awesome Copilot is Aaron. So everything that we have in terms of skills came from Awesome Copilot. If you want, you can add your own skills. It's literally copy and paste a couple of files.
It's easy.
Yes. And I don't know, let's share this link if you want. If someone wants to learn more about links and more, share this link because, hey, there are tons of skills here. And these one are the ones that we already validate and more. And as you can see here, the same that we have here, acquire, add education and more, are the one that here. So I connected this again to Awesome Copilot, but if we want to connect this to another skill repo or whatever, let me know and we can build it. And by the way, I am doing an overview, speaking and telling and more, but Pablo, if we have some comments and
we
more.
do have tons of questions, Bruno, actually, but I'm answering. One of those that is really good is LM Studio. That's one I decided to put to. I believe we can, but we need to adapt a little.
Yes, I mean, I will add it into the backlog because at the end of the day, for an agent to use a chat completion model, to use a model, you need to have chat completion. And as far as I remember, I haven't used LM Studio in a while, so keep me honest if someone is using LM Studio. LM Studio is also publishing this with an endpoint. So if we have an endpoint, an HTTP endpoint that we can call V1, API chat completion or whatever, never remember the OpenAI standard, we should use it. So I am going to add LM Studio, Laura Del Pino, to our to-do because it should be very, very, very easy in my head. Then I need to find a way to test it and more, but I'm guessing that it's just install LM Studio, start the server, download the model, and run. Hey, that's a good one, and let's keep it. As I said, next week, in the next session, I am going to show you here in settings where we can choose the model provider, and maybe here we also have local, we also have LM Studio. Crossing fingers. Let's see how well this works. So as was, well, I already here, and let me hide this comment. As we were talking, so this is the stuff that we are supporting today. And again, it's not all implemented. I need to do a coming soon here, but Ollama and Azure OpenAI works. And I also add GitHub Copilot SDK. Why? Because if you have a Copilot, a GitHub Copilot subscription, and you want to use it, it works really, really, really great. It it have a lot of features out of the box. So it's going to also give you if you are planning to do some jobs and you're probably going to use, in example, stuff for development, or they're doing GitHub actions and more, maybe your agent need to use this model provider. And that's basically it. And then we have some scheduler settings. I've been doing web dev for a long time and backend dev for a long time, so I understand that you can't open unlimited jobs. You only
no, Bruno, we need unlimited jobs. We need 10 jobs for 100 agents to do everything we need.
You're going to kill everything there. No, so we have basic settings that when you're running jobs, this is the ABC. So you have a max of concurrent job. You need to have a timeout. I put 5 minutes here. Then I find out that some things are longer than 5 minutes, but go for 50 minutes, 1 hour, whatever. And also the poll interval, which is basically the service. Remember that we have one service here, which is the scheduler that is going. By the way, I think when I remove SignalR, I missed something here. This is the one that is going to pull and see what is happening. And this is going to show how many active and upcoming jobs we have right now. It should be empty. Yes, this is what I expect in this. As I said, I remove a layer of communication and I'm still fixing that kind of things, but this is kind of the idea. And then at the end, we have profiles, agent profiles, what I just mentioned. That is, we are going to use agents. The agents have definitions, they have a name, they have a set of instructions, and then they use a model, a large language model, local or in the cloud, and they also have tools, skills, and more. But you can define different agents. As I said, you may want to have an agent that uses the Copilot SDK for doing some things, but you maybe want to have another agent that uses a local model to do another things. So this is what we have, and I see here, crossing fingers, I will do my best to have LM Studio. I am super tempted to ask Copilot to implement it right now, but let's not do this. Let's something like this. Let's do something, example, I want to implement. Let's do support for, what is the name? LM Studio in the current solution. Can we do it? I am saying this because right now the way that I have this one set up here is that their working environment is in the folder where we have the source code. So maybe we are going to see a couple of tool callings here analyzing the local solution and more. But I don't know if I literally enable this to access here. But we are maybe having some answers here, and let's see this in new chat. Let's rename this one to be, I broke the edit.
Oh, you broke the edit. No, Bruno.
I broke the edit. No problem. So it's going to work. And by the way, I am running this with GPT-5 Mini, in Azure, because I was testing that, but we can switch it and run it locally with Ollama if we want. In the meantime,
by the way, do you want to talk more a little bit about the local integration? Because I believe some folks have questions, right? So imagine that I want to switch to Gemma, I want to do something local. So, and other thing I want to know is that probably folks want to know as well is related to how do you feel about the performance of that? Like, do you feel performance difference between cloud, local models, etc.?
I mean, of course, yes. Of course, that's a super valid questions. And what we have, and let me show you some code here. Let me show you some code. So what we have and let me zoom this a little more. So the whole idea here is that we have a set of abstractions, and again, OpenClawNet, just the name, but we have a set of abstractions, and these abstractions are going to allow us to quickly change the way that we want to use an agent, and it's the same. That's why I was thinking that, in example, talking and using LM Studio should be easy to implement. Right now, I have a very simple application. This is standard C#. We read our configurations, and then I create my agent provider. Remember that we talk about agent that use models, and it's going to use Ollama and the Gemma 4 model. And then I have some sample for later there, and I am going to ask a question. And the question, let me wrap, is what is Aspire? Formerly not a .NET Aspire, and I add this formerly no, because if not, there seems to be some Swedish company of insurance that is called Aspire, and it started to give me information about that. And what is the latest version? Let me fix this version. And when it was released, and I am going to ask this question. If I go back to my Ollama, you can see here when I see the process, nothing is happening, it's not working and more. But by default, we saw at the top that I am going to use Ollama with Gemma. So if I go to my terminal, let me see where I am, OpenClaw, this is docs. Let me go there, it takes some time, docs, session 1, code, session 1, code, open, coder, yes. And the name is demo1, OpenClaw.net. Sorry, I have this very, very hidden here. What I can do is I can do a .NET run, and this one is going to use Ollama locally. And remember, we are using Gemma for E2B. So at some moment here, when it's I have some warning. What did I break here? Oh, no problem. So at some moment, if I go back to my, by the way, I can zoom this, my Ollama locally, and I see the process, we are going to see that Gemma 4 was activated here. And it's running right now in my machine because I have a GPU. It's running full in GPU, which I say, hey, this is fine. And it's going to keep this alive for 4 minutes. If I go back to our demo, we are going to see here that, yes, you know what? This is Aspire. Let's maximize this. Oh, sorry. I think the Zoom is killing it, so let's maximize this. So it's telling me about Aspire, a lot of stuff. Cool. And the last update that I have since January 24 said that it's talk about .NET ecosystem, but it doesn't have any version here. I can switch here from Llama to, from Gemma to Llama, and Llama 3.2, it's kind of an older one. So if I do this again, I do a clear, and I do a .NET run, and after a couple of seconds, I am going to go back to Ollama. Yes, this is probably working. If I go back to Ollama, we should see that we have the 2 models working right now. I mean, not the 2. Gemma is still in memory. Llama is the one that we are using, and they are going to be released right now. And hey, Llama is a little, can't remember when Llama was released, but it's older, smaller, very good model, by the way. Both of these support function calling, that this is what we know. And we also have some information. And hey, because this is all, take a look at this. The latest version of Aspire is not officially released. So the latest version is 1 alpha. Oh, my friends, Damian, Davey, and Maddie will laugh about this because this is very old news. But hey, this is what we have. However, what's happened if I want to switch models, if I want to use, as I said, a GPT model. So I already have my user secret set here. By the way, you can use this using endpoint, model, deployment name, and API key, or default Azure credentials, managed credential, which is strongly recommended. I have it here just to show the 2 options. But if I run this again, now let me save this just in case. And did I commented Ollama? Yes. If I run this, now the answer will came directly from GPT-5 Mini in the cloud. I have this deployed in one of our subscriptions in Azure. However, this model is also not connected to everything. And I don't know if you know, Pablo, when GPT-5 Mini was released.
That's a good question. I'm going to search that.
We need to search, but it's probably not going to have the version. And by the way, this is just an agent. I created an agent. When it was?
August 25.
Okay, so it's last year. This is interesting. So it's found a couple of other things, and it says that for the latest version, go to NuGet package.
Oh, let's go there.
Okay, this is GPT being GPT saying, okay, it's your problem. I am going to tell you how to search. That's basically it. And what I have here, if you take a look at this, I created an agent directly, but I didn't add any tools. I didn't add any skills. I didn't do anything. It's just an agent using first a couple of local models and then a cloud model. This guy's GPT. However, remember that we also support GitHub Copilot SDK. And this is where things become very interesting, because if I go here, I am going to say, you know what? Let me go back here to the code and take a look at this. Let's all add GitHub Copilot as one of the agent providers, one of the support, the examples that we have. And I'm going to ask also to use GPT-5 Mini. Why? GPT-5 Mini is a model that, as far as I remember, I haven't checked this in a while, but keep me honest, someone is already know the answer. It's a 0x, so you are not going to use your premium request here. And for stuff like searching or translating, there are some type of activities that this is a very, very, very good model. So I am going to use that. And by the way, we can say here, when you are making the configuration for Copilot SDK, you can also say, hey, if you're going to use a tools, automatically approve or deny as the user and more. There are plenty of options here. There are my friends, Burke, Olivia, James, and more, they created a lot of amazing, if you go to the Visual Studio and the GitHub channels, you have a lot of videos about how you can use the SDK. But with this one, with this approach, what I can do one more time, when I ask the question, and I think I will have this up and running, I don't need to put my credentials. By the way, you can use credentials, or you can use, if you want, you can use a GitHub token to authenticate this. But this one will come directly from GitHub Copilot. And the Copilot agents out of the box have tools, have search, web search, file system, and I can't remember you can take a look in the configuration. But at this moment, what it's doing, take a look at this, is checking one of the skills that we have installed here, which is the Aspire skill. And this is not OpenClawNet. This is the GitHub Copilot using a couple of skills. And if I want to take a look here, as far as I remember, let me see if I can find it.
I believe you can. Bruno, while you search, I'm going to give you a question from Tawal that I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. So here's the thing. He's asking about a shared toolkit for CLI tools. So imagine Terminal, grep, ls. Of course, I know Copilot SDK can do a lot of amazing things, but what of the tools that we usually recommend when we integrate those with Microsoft Agent Framework?
I don't know. I mean, CLI is the way to go these days. It's kind of everything is happening there. So I really don't know. I mean, I have my prefers. I use a lot of Aspire, in example, because I like to have Aspire start, Aspire stop, Aspire. I have this one running here, as I mentioned before. Oh, not this one.
Oh, not this one. Yeah, this one.
This one. So let's go back here. So in example, Aspire is running here. And I really like to have the chance here to say, in example, Aspire PS. So it's going to show me the process. I have one Aspire running, and I can even go and say Aspire describe. Where, let me type it right, describe, where I am going to see literally all of the resources and everything else. And this is very useful in the CLI because now when we have this, we also have here the chance to say to Copilot, I can go here in Copilot and say, Copilot, do something with Aspire. And because we have the skills, it's going to know how to do it, and it's going to show, hey, I can do Aspire, start, stop, describe, PS.
Yeah.
So that's the one that I use a lot. Out of the box, there are other ones. I think the GitHub integration also has using a lot of CLI tools. And as I said, when you are using grep or you are using the other tools, there are some skills they are sure for do that. I don't have my preference set of skills because Copilot automatically do that for me. But if someone is interested and you have some use cases and your use cases you have a skill, let me know, let us know, and we will add it as kind of a nice scenarios where, I don't know, I'm making this up. If you want to run a report that converts every Monday morning documents to a summary and whatever, one skill that you want to use is Markdown, because Markdown easily converts.
Markdown's amazing, yeah.
Yes, PowerPoint, PDF, Excels, and whatever to Markdown, and later you can use the Markdown to do a summary. I am making this up very quickly, but I don't have a is that the question is my preferred set of skills to do CLI activities?
It is if we have a shared toolkit, but I believe we don't. I believe the toolkit that we have, that was the thing I was thinking of answering, but I want to ask you as well, because I believe it's a very interesting question, because when you have like those automatic agents that do everything for you, you may ask how they're going to access things when you do them. But usually I'm going to say GitHub has a lot of pre-made tools that we have already there. But if you need more tools, you can add this as skills, you can add as agents. So I would say it converges to MCP and agent skills, basically. But you need to create your own toolkit in your set that can work really nicely for you. Your mileage may vary, to be honest,
Yes.
but that's why I even did not answer your question on text, because I think it's a very nice question.
Yes, and hey, in example, just to finish this and switch to another topic. Someone asks, say that what other LLMs can be used with OpenClawNet. So if you're using Ollama, in example, everything that is supported in Ollama. If you're using Foundry Local, everything that you supported in Foundry Local. I can't remember the name of the audience, someone in the audience, they say, can we use support LM Studio? So if they are supporting the chat, the Open AI chat specification, anything that you want there, and we can even do more if someone wants. Next week, I will bring some extra ones, and I will try to find, and even in videos, you're using local with Quen, with Quimi, and DeepSeek, and another Llama, and our models, and more of the stuff there. But what I wanted to show here is that, remember that we asked about the Aspire latest version and release. And because the GitHub Copilot SDK have access to do a web search, it did a web search, and I found that literally 6 days ago, last Friday, it was the 9th, or I can't remember, we released, I say we, it's an amazing work of very, very smart people, David, Damian, another David, Maddie, I can't remember, James, a lot of amazing people there, a new version, and the latest one is Aspire 13.2.2. So depending on the agent, you want to do some things. Depending on the tools, I am going to go back to the slides a little here, and let's talk later about this. So what we are building is, we talk about what we are building next. This is a couple of things that we need to do. By the way, you can run this literally with a lot of tools. We talk about the abstractions. SignalR should not be there, but because I already generated the documentation, and I believe that I don't want to do this, so yes, let's commit this. It's just a sample. I am going to change it for later, so commit and push. Let me see. I updated the documentation with the latest changes. So if I do Control S5 here, we still have SignalR. So
it's fine, Bruno. Don't worry.
I need to remove SignalR, but this is what we have, and this is kind of answering the question that, hey, any LLM that we can use locally that support the e-model client will be there, and we have a lot of projects, very, very isolated. The solution is big, the 9 pillars that we have, and this is what I wanted to do. Out of the box, because this is what people are suggesting here and there in other forums for something similar, file system, web search, shell, and everything that supports tool AI function will be there because it's also supported by Agent Framework. Agent Framework now supports skills, so we can run agent with the skills. So all of the skills that are compliant with the skill definition are also going to be there, are also going to be what to do. And remember, with the skills, we know what to do locally and how to do it with tools. It's kind of the mixed stuff there. And the key contract is the model. So if we implement here, and this is a model, I want to change the name from e-model client to something different, but if we want to implement a new one for agents, this is what we need to do. And because we use CLI, I like to show you an example, one scenario that may make sense. Let me go back here. So as I said, we have here, let's do ascribe, PS. So I am running right now one instance of my application. So I am going to do Aspire stop. No, let's do this. So I am doing Aspire PS, and I have my dashboard here. And if I go back to my dashboard, there it is. I have my, yes. Short answer, yes. I hope it didn't start to edit my code. But as I said, yes, because I am running this, so it couldn't access the file.
Yeah, because you're running, yeah.
But hey, this is what I mentioned. Right now, OpenClawNet in this specific scenario is nowhere it's working in my local source, OpenClawNet, plan, source, whatever, and it's trying to figure out what to do. And I need to figure out a couple of things to say, hey, OpenClaw, implement support for LM Studio. I'm not going to do that. That's why we have Copilot. I'm not going to do this. But I want to show you, remember that when we go here, we have this, issues. Yeah. Yes. So if I go back and refresh this, let's see if we have the issue again. If you go back here to the resources, there it is. The scheduler have some issues.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh my God, it's 149.
Yes, because it's probably pulling, and this is on me. As I said, we have this decision. But you can see here there are a lot of issues. It's pulling, it's trying to do something, and I don't know what is happening here. Don't care. Let's see.
Don't care.
This is not in production yet, so
Yeah.
I can say that yet. But what I am going to say is here in Copilot, I am going to say something like this. Hey, Aspire is running, and I can see some errors. Can you check it? Then you check the logs and show me what is the error about and how to fix it. Do not implement, just explain. And sorry for the typos and more.
Yeah, it's fine. So for the folks that may be confused on what is happening here, so this is 100% hands-on. That's why you have those errors, those things. Don't worry. We have everything implemented, but we need to show you how it works in real life. It's not just like, hey, look at this nice demo. We are not here for that. We are here to show you how we do things, how we iterate, and how we do live. And live, it can happen, a lot of things like that.
Yes, and in example here, the first thing that it did, it did Aspire Describe, which makes sense because when you do Aspire Describe, and we did this literally before, you will see the list of resources here and the state and the health. They're all healthy. And they say, you know what? Someone here said, all services are running and healthy. So let's go to the logs. There may be something in the logs. So the services are fine, but there is something in the log. So it's going to, I can't remember, I know that is Aspire. Let's do Aspire help. Somewhere here you have the logs version, the logs, and for the resource. And I don't know if you do logs without. Oh, yes, it's going to take forever. If you do logs without the resource, it's going to take forever. I should probably say that the errors are in the scheduler. Otherwise, it's going to read the full error log. There it is. It's showing all of the, it's literally showing.
Yeah, so many errors, yeah.
It's literally showing this. But that's fine. That's what we want because somewhere here, we have these scheduler errors that are making some problems here. And this is not specific to OpenClaw.net or this specification, but this is very, very important in the way that we are starting to work today. We have an assistant, or we're maybe going to have OpenClaw that knows how to use some CLI tools. Like, can't remember who were asking about that before. And these agents, these agents will know how to use these tools, these skills, and then they know how to implement this. So in this case, we have Copilot, GitHub Copilot, analyzing the Aspire's log because it knows how to use the skills of Aspire, it knows how to learn from the logs and more, and it's going to try to figure out between that and my code, and the code that we have here in my machine, probably not the same that Pablo had, because Pablo, you have the good version, or I have I can't remember where is the good version, but this is work in progress, yes?
Even my good version, I had something stupid, so it's fine. It will happen anyway.
It's going to try to fix it. And by the way, this is all came, like someone was asking, this is all came because, as I showed or tried to show this before, somewhere here, we have the skill. So somewhere here, we have the Aspire skill, and the Aspire skill is literally said that, hey, you can use Aspire in the CLI with all of these commands. So for a start, Aspire start, for start isolated, restart, wait, yada, you have everything here. So now the agents know how to do. If I use this and I move this to OpenClaw.net and I import the Aspire skill, OpenClaw.net will know how to work with Aspire also. And remember that even so, right now it should not have any process running, but you can even do Aspire development and more running local models. We just seen how easy it was to switch to Ollama, to Azure, to Copilot, and then back here. But if you also add Aspire, you can even do this and that here. So it's a nice mix of opportunities, options, and more that we have. So let's go back here and let's see if I heard some. Oh, still syncing. Okay, it seems that it read all of the logs, and we have there the. Oh, there are many repeated errors. Yes, I know, because it's pulling. I should stop the scheduler. across all services. So hey, it's literally working. That's fine. That's what we want. So
Okay.
Going back to our slides, somewhere here. So we have yes. Sorry,
for folks that are confused, what we are doing now, we are just showing here how Aspire works and how it can auto implement things on itself. But because we are running it, it cannot do changes to itself. So it's soft blocking itself to do things. That is what is going on. That's why it seems a little bit confusing. But we are showing here how can we do different models. How can we integrate different contracts? Even see like this iModel client, which defines, how the tasks work and how they conclude to each other. And we want to show you as well that it can do tasks, right? It can do and be autonomous to do everything you need.
And hey, by the way, thanks Pablo for helping with Pablo Nunes for helping and more with the questions about this, but. Because I know there are at least 3 different Pablos in the chat I see here. So
yeah.
Pablo here. But hey, for this one, OpenClawNet in production. So on session 4, we are going to deploy this to Azure. Right now, Aspire is also giving us an amazing way to deploy this, not only to Azure. If you want to deploy and to have a Docker Compose set of files that you can later deploy this, whatever you want, we are going to go for Azure. That's where I am happy. That's my happy place. But that's going to happen on the last day. That said, someone also said which was a couple of required hardware and more. I mean, this is a very, very tiny .NET application. It needs to be orchestrated, yes. You need to have different services, yes. But you don't, I will do, if someone is really interested, let me know, and we will basically add in the repo a minimum set of hardware requirement if you want to run it locally. Of course, you need Docker. So that is probably the first baseline to have there, because everything is going to run in containers. Right now, if we go back here and take a look at the Docker instance here, we have the SQLite running here. But if you want to automate this and producing this, you may have one container for each one of the services, for the scheduler, for the web, for the shell, and more. So Docker should be the starting point. Besides that, you can run it without any. I don't think that you need a lot of hardware, but again, this is a bias on me because not a lot of hardware versus here and there. My goal is to maybe run it in a Raspberry Pi. Not sure if we want to do it or more, but we may want to do it there. But think about that. If you can run a local model with Ollama and you can run Docker in your machine, you are probably very, very close to run something like this. I don't know, Pablo, does this make sense? What do you think?
It does. I think it does. And not only it makes sense, but we need to imagine that if you have Docker, that the amazing thing of having Docker is that you do so easily. You can put anywhere you want, anything you need, Docker Composer. Sometimes it may break things, sure, but it's amazing if you're doing everything very default or you don't make a lot of changes on it. So I would say yes, and I would say not only that, but Aspire helps you a lot to orchestrate this. Imagine how big of I'm gonna use a mess, I believe is the best word for it, if we didn't have Aspire. Aspire helps us a lot to containerize and make like each one like this subparts, this subtask, so we can actually send and message with each other. It's amazing.
Yes, and hey, by the way, I appreciate that Slovo Dovan Busetic, oh, sorry, I butchered your name, said that use speech to test for requests. Have you heard my accent? It's going to be worse. It's not going to pick me fine, but yes, hey, I can add some pick up here, whatever, or even in the use the microphone in Windows 10 to do that, but I appreciate that. So going back, there it is. That's the question. What's the best infrastructure to OpenClaw in production? Let me add it into the to-do list. Next week, I am going to present kind of a base production, whatever. Not production, but the baseline that you're going to start to use. And by the way, remember, this is a high-level proof of concept to learn stuff about tools, generative AI, and more. Not the production application, but it's open source. So if someone wants to pick up and grow from here, let's go for there. So let me go. I see also some other question saying that why Copilot CLI spend quota too fast. I will say that sometimes, and this is not OpenClawNet, but let me spend some minutes here. Sometimes it's because we are not probably using the right models to do the right things and more. So if you, like myself, right now, use and define that, hey, I want to use OpenClawNet with Copilot with a 0x model, or I am a very fan of Cloud Haiku. Haiku is an amazing model, and I think it's 0.33 or whatever. You can use that one, and hey, your quota is not going to be very, very impacted because those two are very, very short and fast models. But if you always go to the Cloud Opus or the GPT 5.4 or the big
5.4 Jeep thing, yeah.
Yes, or the big Gemini models, that is going to use all of your quota. So I will say that there should be strategies to use the right, you should define a strategy in Copilot to use the right model for the right task. But again, and if you use also the auto option where automatically will choose the model depending on the task, I think we have a discount there more. It's super big.
It is 10% discount. It is really good. I really like the question from Brian Henderson here, which is one? What is the last one? What is the difference between like chat version running a model and on the CLI? So the chat version doesn't change. What changes the way that you interact with it. So imagine that you have like a preferred surface that you prefer to interact with. It is better. I like the CLI for one reason. I do like the CLI because it allows me to squat and to use other tools that is built on top of the CLI. So that's what I prefer. But the thing with the browser that is really good is collaboration. You can actually go and open an issue, put GitHub Copilot to work on that, but you can have like me, Bruno, anyone to talk with Copilot to adjust it to a better solution and then to deploy that to your anything that you may need, right? So I believe that is the main difference. Browser focus a lot of collaboration and the CLI in personalization and quick, easy pushes. And then you can push already to your repo or wherever you need.
So yes, in example, this is the main repo where we are going, and I have a question right now too. We are getting next to the close to the end of the hour. So this is what Pablo was saying. I was using the CLI. We also have Copilot in Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code and more. But you can even go to the browser and ask this question about OpenClawNet and give me a high-level overview of the repo. And it's going to gather in everything, read all of the stuff, and it's going to give us a response there. So this is using here. My question is this one. So in this repo, let me share this in the chat. I created this, and the initial idea was to, okay, we have the languages in English, Spanish. Pablo is also working right now in doing in Portuguese. We may have other languages. Right now we have 4 sessions. We may have a 5th one talking about this. But for each one of these, I was planning to expose and to publish after the session basically the source code that we just seen, and also to show the slides and more. But the source code that we just seen for today is not the full package. There are still some other things that we are working, and because, as I mentioned, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we have Foundry Local release, Agent Framework release. We're still going to have a new release and more. I am in a dilemma right now to see what we want to do. Let me close this so we have a better view. What we want to do, what do you want us to do? To release this, all of the full source code here, and open for everybody to use it and more, or to keep releasing this until we get to week 3. And in week 3, I am going to freeze the code kind of in V1, and then because the next week is going to be deploying and productionize and using that in Azure. If you want, we can give a super dirty version right now. As you see in the scheduler, is not working. Need to figure out. I think I know why, but need to figure out how to fix it. I know why, I don't know how to fix it. Or we can grow week by week, taking a look at tools, frameworks, skills, and more next week, and release that on the next day. Like in example, next week we are going to probably, crossing fingers, support LM Studio and have some general guidance about hardware requirements. So it's up to everybody here to see. I don't know, do you want to the full crappy and dirty code and work in progress code right now, or we grow week by week and in a couple of weeks we have a ready to show and use production code? Let us know what to do. I will read the comments later and grow from there. And an example, LM Studio. I didn't even think of LM Studio, and it's super, super popular. So yes, we are going to add it. Hardware requirements. Yes, that's a must. I was planning to do that at the end, because at the end we need to choose what we are going to use to deploy to the Azure, yada, yada, yada. But if someone wants to start to play around right now, we can put the code, dirty version, work in progress version, and put also the minimum hardware requirements you can start to test. As I said, if you can run Ollama, if you can run Foundry local, also LM Studio local and Docker, you are ready to go. Don't go for a very, very, very big model if you don't have enough resources. Probably Ollama 3.2, which is a light model, light quoting light, is a super good model for a lot of stuff. So if you want to do something like we just say, every Monday morning, read these documents and send them, whatever, or every Monday morning, every day, connect to my mail account and take a look at my emails and summarize the most important ones and more, you can do that with local models. Small models are also good for that. If you need more complex things, that's when you need to start to balance using a Gemma 4 locally, go into a GPT model on Azure, go into a Kimi model on Azure, and more. So I don't know. I will, as I said, I will read the comments and see what else we have here, because remember, and just to close here, let me go back to our slides.
We have 4 minutes, Bruno.
Yeah, so we talk about the agent framework, we talk about
LLM. The local LLMs, we did already talk about that.
Bootstrap.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Bootstrap, not React. It's how I bootstrap everything. The storage. And again, an example in storage. We are using right now SQLite. If someone wants to use something else, let me know. The important part is the gateway. You can take a look at the gateway literally here. If we go to our graph here in Aspire, you can see that the gateway is the one that brings services to the web. The scheduler also will use the gateway. It's connected to the DB. It's also connected to the channels. These are on purpose not connected to the gateway. I am going to fully implement this. I didn't want to have implemented this today to make it very complex, but this is the main part. So this is something that we need to use. And talking to browser, don't care, Aspire. This is something that I will advise. If you want to take something learning from today, take 2 or 3 things. First, Copilot is amazing. Copilot helps a lot. GitHub Copilot, it's literally what we do today. And besides that, I don't like to replace Docker Compose, because my plan here was to show you, let me show you, we don't have time, to how we can generate the deploy for Compose to do this. But Aspire is the one that is going to do everything. If we take a look at the Aspire code here, let me go to the source, and let me go to the app host, and let me go to this app host here. So this is what we have here. We have the connection for the database, which is going to be a DB path. Then we add SQLite, because Aspire supports SQLite out of the box. Ollama is expected to be there if we want to use Ollama. And then we start to add projects. We add the gateway, we add the schedulers, the web, etc. Connect everything between all of them, and that's it. And I think I don't even need to do the health anymore, because the service is going to do that. But just in case, I add the ./health endpoint to check what we have. But this is everything, 50 lines of code, and I have all of the services for OpenClawNet connected and ready to use and more. And I love it.
We are ready.
It's amazing. And we didn't even talk about production here. I'm sorry, deploying here, where we start to do the deploy with Docker Compose or with Bicep to ACD up to Azure. That's on session 4. But think about Aspire. Think about Aspire, because this combo also, Copilot CLI and Aspire, it's super powerful. The power that we have here to understand errors and more, it's beautiful. I love it. With that said, this is what you need. Let me do a full screen. And what we are going to do next week, we are going to start to talk about tools. How we can make this, hey, can we do LM Studio? And said, yes, you can. Let me do LM Studio. But we didn't have the tools there. So next week, we are going to see how we can add tools and basically make it a little more intelligent OpenClaw, and show how we can sync, act, observe, and repeat. The repeat part is the tricky, is the scheduler. We need to fix that, Pablo. We need to talk
Yeah.
together and see what we have. You have some links. We are going to share everything here and there. We are literally at the end. And hey, this is what we are going to start to see week by week. And again, next week is tool, the others is skills, then deploy. And the last one, if we want to do number 5, is channels, browser, automations, and something else that I can't remember. Feel free to contact us, me in
Yeah.
LinkedIn or Twitter. Pablo, I don't know, which is the best place to find you?
For me, it's LinkedIn easily, and I do have TikTok and Instagram. But I'm gonna be very honest, I need to use the accounts more on the professional side. But if you want to connect me on LinkedIn, I'm always doing things on LinkedIn. I always talk to people on LinkedIn. I put here on chat, so you can add me, do things and be ready for the next sessions. By the way, the next session will be tools and agent workflows. So now I'm gonna talk more deeply about tools and how can we build this in the incredible machine now, because they're going to do it locally, but they're going to implement the tools that we need for anything that they need, the tasks, and the new agent workflows as well.
Hey, and just to finish, I know that we are on time. And yes, someone mentions NemoClaw.
Oh no.
In our resources, not here. Where is this? I use NemoClaw and use also OpenClaw as one of the key elements to grow from there. NemoClaw is amazing. NemoClaw is a different implementation of OpenClaw with more. Hey, I will add, Larry, if you want, I will show what we learn from NemoClaw, and that's for next session. And I'm so sorry, Reactor people, we are over the time, but there are so many questions, there are so many things to do that I'm super, super happy. So see you all next week, everyone. Let us know what else do you think. Contact us we are in Foundry, in Discord, in the Discord Foundry. You can find it there almost every day. Search for Discord Foundry server and you will find it.
I can get the link, Bruno.
Perfect. And see you all next week.
Folks, see you next week. See ya.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Pablo, for the session. And thank you all for joining us. Here at the Reactor, we are always looking to improve your experience. So if you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find the link to our survey on the screen or in the chat, and we'll see you in the next one.